Good evening. Good evening, everybody. How are you? It's nice to meet you back here on Bridges of Light International. Hope you're fine. I'll wait for a few connections and then I will start speaking about quite an issue today. So I'll be speaking about our consciousness and how our consciousness is involved into the healing process. And by healing, I do not just mean to get rid of a sickness, but anything that can be solved in our life. So hi to my first friends that are connecting right now. My name is Laura de Stefano. I'm Italian. I introduced myself a little before starting. I'm fond of quantum physics, and I'm also a person that is quite involved into healing quantum physics techniques. In fact, today I will teach you a quantum physics technique, not just to get rid of heavy pathology, but also to be always more and more connected to our soul. And I'm also a numerologist, so I work with numbers, personal numbers. I've been already lecturing on live in English on numbers and on numerology. And I try to explain what I do with numbers and how numbers are related to us. And I deal with a discipline that is called the dance of the soul, that involves movement. And due to movement, we actually let our brain go far from us, and we let our soul and consciousness and unconscious speak, and we get some information from our conscious in a symbolic form, and we get some messages about how we can improve in our life. These are a few of the things I do. I actually do many more things, but I just wanted to take a few minutes just to introduce myself and to wait for people to get connected. Hello, Veronica. Nice to have you here. And yeah, we start soon speaking about consciousness and the healing process. Hi, Andrea. Because as I was saying, I'm an expert in quantum physics, not really as a physicist, but as a researcher. So I love to see what physics has done involving all the other sciences, neurosciences, epigenetics, medicine, because it really has been an overwhelming discipline that has overthrown all the previous beliefs, all the previous point of references. It has really changed quite a lot. And today we're gonna check that out according to the new concept of illness and healing. So, hi Pasqua, nice to have you back here. So I guess we can start. Also because I want to end with quantum physics technique that is going to take a few minutes, and I want maybe some feedback from you about how you felt while you were doing it, if you have felt any difference into your body while we were doing it. Hi Vicia, I hope I pronounced it correctly or something similar. Vigita, is that correct? Okay. So, let's get started. What has quantum physics brought to our attention that is so revolutionary into the world and into the scientific world? Well, first of all, I'd like to introduce to you Niels Bohr. Niels Bohr is a physicist that has been awarded with the Nobel Prize in 1922, so quite a long time ago. Hi, Sonia. And he used to say this sentence: if you haven't been shocked by quantum physics, it means that you have not really understood it. And he was a Nobel Prize. Okay, hi Mariella, nice to meet you here. I also like to introduce to you another sentence that has been told by Albert Einstein. Einstein said, everything is energy and energy is everything, and it's the only real existing thing. You have to tune up to the frequency of the reality that you want in your life, and you will not be able to avoid what you want to be created into your life. There's no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. So, you know that Einstein is the first one that actually helped us into relating anything to energy because of the equation E equal to mc at the second. Okay, he stated by this equation that energy is everywhere where there is mass. If you have something that has mass, which in our reality is anything, okay, then you have energy. This is very important because this formula actually indicates that there is also a relationship between energy and anything, any object that is existing in our dimension. Now, let's speak about something different. What is DNA? We all know what DNA is, okay? It's a pattern that defines our genetic inheritance. And we've been always thinking that whenever our DNA is displaying somehow itself, there's nothing we can do about it. If you have a genetical disease, you cannot do anything about it, because that is due to your DNA, to your specific characteristic of your DNA. Now, do you know that there is a so-called garbage DNA? And do you know that 95% of our DNA is what is so-called garbage DNA? Why is it called garbage DNA? Because actually, scientifically, until now, it hasn't been clear what that DNA was used for. So it seems like it was useless. And this doesn't make any sense. Is it possible for our body to produce 95% of something that is absolutely useless? Well, what they just found out is that actually that DNA has a very specific function. And this really opens up a new world, a new vision of life, of science, of everything. Because studying that 95% of DNA, they actually found out that they had to study something similar to what astrophysics are dealing with. What does that mean? That 95% of DNA creates some holes that are also called Eisen-Rosen bridges, that are means of communication between DNA and what is called a quantum physics field. Laura Mersini-Houghton has a published study in which she speaks and demonstrates the existence of Einstein-Rosen bridges between another world and our DNA. These bridges are also called the wormhole. Okay, wormhole. They have the characteristic of putting into a perfect connection two different items, let's say items, okay, just forgive my words, so that when one somehow changes its status, the other one does exactly the same at the same time. There is no time occurring between one change and the other change. Everything is connected. And this refers to the concept of quantistic entanglement. Anything is connected. Anything is entangled. So if something changes its status, that influences anything around it. That has been first demonstrated taking two electrons of the same atom and taking them far apart one from the other and changing the spin. You know that they have a spin and they go one in one way, and the electron close to the first electron goes the other way of the first one. Okay, so they move differently. They change the spin of the first electron, and the second electron changed its spin at the same time. There was no time to give this information from one electron to the other. So things are always connected one to the others, and this is called the quantum entanglement, quantistic entanglement. Hi, Alessia. The wormholes allow the information, okay, to go from one point to the other point, but this is not even correct, because when we are in the quantum physics field, there is no time and there is no space. What is a quantum physics field? A quantum physics field is, we could say, the huge amount of any possible infinite reality in our world. It's a place where everything exists at the same time. That's why I said there is no time, no space, and everything is related. This connects to the concept of the one and wholeness. We often say that we are all related and we make a oneness, we make a wholeness. There is no separation. Separation is an illusion. Bohm, another important physicist, spoke about the implicit world and explicit world. He used to say there is an implicit world, and that is the wholeness, the oneness. But when that word has to show in our world, then it's defined into all the different realities and objects that we see around us. And that is called the explicit word. It is very important to be aligned, to be into a connection with the quantum field. Why? Because into the quantum field, there is something very important. There is the basic information quantum field. One more thing. What is it in that? That quantum basic information field contains all the possible informations about how everything should be to work perfectly. So, what do I mean first by information? Information means the matrix, how things should be. And information is, I tell you something that is important to you. I give you an information in our common language. Into the physics field, an information is a sequence of number. Is something that relates to a specific frequency. that frequency is related only to that specific thing or object, and it states exactly how that part, that object, that thing should work to be into the perfection, to be into the best situation it could be. So into the informational basic quantum field, there is the matrix, the origin of how everything should be to work perfectly. Everything, a cell of our body, or even connection among people, relationship, okay? There is an information and a number sequence also for that, for anything. That has also been called the consciousness of the universe. And that concept, that thought, is what has also been called the God Matrix by Greg Braden, Akashic Field by Laszlo, and for the religion has been called Soul and also God. God resides in this place where there is no place, no room, no space, no time, but everything is in there, and it contains all the information for us to be healthy, happy, for the world to be in a good health, in a good shape, for us to be in the perfect way, in the best way we could ever live. So this is the way that quantum physics has brought back up to our attention the concept of consciousness and also soul. Science has been disengaged from these two concepts when Newton started his scientific, very scientific point of view in physics. Now, quantum physics brings those concepts back to our attention because life is completely different from the previous thoughts, beliefs that we had on it. So, what is actually illness? What is an illness? An illness occurs when we are not strictly connected, we are not in a strict connection with the quantum information basic field. So the information do not flow through the wormholes to our DNA. And so we are not aligned with the quantum physics field. You know, we used to say when we have a trouble or when we have a disease, trust into the universe. What is the universe? The universe is that wholeness, one thing. That's a positive and conscious. Yes, it is, Mariella. It is exactly like that. In fact, how, for example, I'll give you a couple of examples, okay? How do sardines, I always have funny examples. I'm a scuba diver, I love fish, I love to scuba dive, and so I will be often picking up from those examples. How do sardines, for example, change direction all at the same time? They are very aligned and into a deep connection with the quantum physics field. And one more thing, for example, we all know the photosynthesis, and maybe you don't know that chromophore cells are responsible for the photosynthesis. If you take those cells away from a leaf and you observe them under by a microscope, for example, and also if you radiate them, if you put light on them, they do not work. It's like if they had a consciousness saying, you're not relating to the leaf anymore, so your job is useless. How do they know that? This is the consciousness of the universe. You see, science used to think and study how things used to happen, how they were related to each other. Now, the new vision provided by quantum physics and spreading also in, as I said at the beginning, neuroscience and epigenetic science in general, is why do things happen that way? How do they know they have to react that way? It's a completely different point of view. So, whenever we have a trouble, whenever we have a disappointment, whenever we have an illness in our body, yes, Veronica, it does happen to fishes and birds too, of course. They are more related than us to the quantum informational basic field, absolutely. So, whenever we have a disharmony in our life, that is due to because there is something lacking in the connection to the quantum physics. When do we disconnect from that field? Whenever we have a trauma, whenever there is an emotion that, like fear mostly, that doesn't allow us to go further into our evolving process. You see, the words healing and to have care are very different. Cure, okay? The words curing and healing are very different. To cure comes from QCAV, which means, oh, I observe. I take care of something. I cure because I am looking at something. I am observing something. Instead, healing comes from guarecer. It's a Celtic word coming from Warian. Warian, it's written W-A-R-I-N, comes from also where, that derives from awareness. And it does deal with observing, but also with defending something. So I am aware. I am waiting for something to happen. I'm standing here because I'm taking care and I have to defend it. Even further back, there is another Indo-European root that is verbal. And here we have a lot of words related to it. And they have a very deep meaning because this verbal means I see, because this is enlightened. Light brings to my attention what is happening. Let's see what Veronica says. Speaks about this in his book Synchrodestiny, and you are explaining it very well and in a simple way that, oh, thank you. Thank you, Veronica. I thought you had a question. Thank you very much. So, from Svervor, we have another word derived from Greek that is oral, which means I can see because the light has brought to me. Light has come and I can see. So, those two words actually are talking about something that goes beyond the healing process, beyond the cure. They deal with the enlightening something. Light comes, then I see, and then I can go forward. And this is very important because, according to quantum physics, anything that happens in our life is transformed by light. Light is formed by photons. Photons are the smallest part of light, and photons go as fast as the light velocity, which is 300,000 kilometers by second, any second, and they do not have mass. Photons have this characteristic. They do not have mass, but they are submitted to the gravity force. Anything we think, as I said in previous lives, here on Bridges of Light, we radiate light from our third eye here in the middle of our forehead. And any transformation occurs by means of the light, through means of the photons. So why do I say that? Because I told you that the quantum physics field is the world of any possibility, the world of anything we can change and make into our life. But we go there and take what we want to collapse, create, achieve, and happen in our life. So the quantum physics field is there. We do go there and take what we want to happen in our life according to our level of consciousness. So if I have a high level of consciousness, I want to get rid of my sickness, I want to learn more, I want to go forward, I want to learn more things. Anything that happens in our life depends on the level of our consciousness. So there are not bad or good consciousness. There is every single person's consciousness. And that influences our choices. We have the possibility to freely bring into our life what we want. The quantum physics field does not decide for us, okay? We can change anything and take anything from there. We might say, but we all want to be in a very happy and healthy situation in our life. It's not always so. There are people that do not want to drop and let go of their illness, and that is due to the fact that their illness maybe is functional to something. We drop and let go something out of our life, and we quit maybe some behaviors only when they are not functional to us anymore. They do not realize the function that they used to until a few times ago. So, even a marriage or a relationship between two partners, it doesn't end because they betray themselves. It doesn't end because of the arguments. It ends when it has finished up with, it's done with its function for the two of them. Okay? So maybe we don't want our illness to be over. Anyway, now medicine doesn't see a human body just as a human body, but states that a body is an emotional and energetical unit. And that means that it radiates electromagnetic frequencies and it goes into resonance with the environment. The DNA itself is considered like a fluctuant and vibrating antenna that is also in resonance with what is happening around it. Let's see what Mariella says. God moves our universe with love. Only love can save the world. We are in direct communication. All the things we see in nature, the beauty is God's light. Energy, love is the biggest type of energy. We only must understand and practice. Okay, Mariella, thank you very much for your comment. I can tell you that actually love is what even the very well famous, very well known astrophysic Giuliana Conforto calls unconditional love when she speaks about the weak nuclear force. I've been speaking about that in last Tuesday, that also physics are starting to speak about love. They don't speak about God, but it doesn't make much difference, because what's God? What is God? God is love. It's unconditional love. God is an energy, and the whole world has been created by this energy. In fact, if you open up an atom, okay, an atom, we got to know that at school, is made by the nucleus, where there are neutrons and protons, and then the electrons that spin around the nucleus. If the nucleus was as big as a soccer ball, the electrons would be rotating 19 kilometers far from the nucleus. So this means there is a huge void between the nucleus and the electrons. But that void is not empty. It's full of an energy that spins very, very quickly, and that is the same one any atom of any object you would ever open. Some of the physicists say this energy is the same one, and this means that everything comes from the same source. And this sentence is a metaphysical, spiritual sentence, maybe religion, but I don't want to put religion to this because we make some connections with other things when we speak about religion. And so, everything comes from the same source. Some people start to say that source is unconditional love. Maybe. But everything is relation. Hello, Lavkesh. Welcome back. So, if we make a little, if we sum up that, medicine states that the human being is an emotional energetical unit, as we said, and that is made by a complex of electromagnetic frequencies and resonance phenomena, and that the mind, our thoughts are really related into getting our health better or worse. And so it's very important to also consider how that person feels physically, emotionally. And we also take into account that cells, of course, vibrate at different frequencies, whether they are sick or healthy. Well, according to all this, we can say that when we speak about healing, we speak about making a quantum leap. We've been speaking about the two different words, to cure and to heal. Now, why is healing a quantum leap? By healing, I do not just speak about physical problems, but any type of problem we solve in our life that brings us to a different level of consciousness, that is a quantum leap. When we do not receive the correct information with the quantum field, the quantum information basic field, we have, and then we are disconnected. Healing is a quantum leap. Yes, exactly, Samra. That's like that. So when we are disconnected, or when with the information from the quantum field do not flow easily into our body, into our life, then there are some illness, problems, troubles, or anything like that. Some disharmonies anyhow, okay? And so, now the sickness is a disconnection from the source of life, from the matrix. When we start to heal, we first have to acknowledge what the problem is. And in that step, it's very important to acknowledge the thing, and it's very important to take into account the reaction, the emotional and psychological reaction of the person. So it's very important how you communicate the problem to the person, because some people that have been informed of maybe a heavy diagnosis, not in a correct way, immediately underwent to the drop of the 50% of the lymphocyte T4, which are the ones that preside the immunodeficiency system. So their immune capabilities have been lowered by 50% in a second because of a bad diagnosis, a bad way of communicating the diagnosis, okay? So that is something that medicine now is taking into account, because they know that to introduce in the right way, which is always a personal way, you have to take into account what the person in front of you feels, if she is a scary person, or if she is a person that actually does not take into account in a proper way what happens to her. You always have to really customize and personalize what happens into that person's life, okay? And how she actually reacts to everything. And because, of course, the immunodeficiency system is very important. So the first thing to do is to take that into account. Thank you, Summer. You're very nice. Very nice. When the second step is to start wondering why that is happening to me. So where the problem is not just my problem or my sickness, but why is that happening to me? Where did I disconnect from the quantum informational field? Of course, in this case, you have to be very careful not to give you some explanation that are just excuses. This is not an easy part. It means to go really into an introspective side within yourself and do some work in yourself. It might be sometimes painful, but it's worthless, because if you find the trauma that generated the disconnection or the block within the wormhole, the quantum informational field that transmits its information through the wormholes we've been speaking at the beginning of this slide, then you can remove it, you can work on it, and then you can allow the quantum information basic field to let the information flow properly and correctly into your actual life. And this may allow your body to recover, or your problem to be solved. This means that I have the capability to see myself in a different way. Among all the possibilities that are contained into the quantum basic informational field, I'm going to choose the best one for me to live the best I can. So far we've been speaking about DNA, the garbage DNA, and its fundamental function, which is to connect us to another reality, another dimension, another world, the world of the wholeness, the oneness, where there is the quantum basic informational field, and there are all the information contained there about how everything should be to allow us to live perfectly in harmony, love, peace, and to be in ecstasy. How do we actually, when we heal, when we solve a problem, we need more energy. We have to go to a different level of energy. We have to make also an energetical jump or leap. This is something that all the ancient medicines, most of the Asiatic Oriental medicine knew, because they knew that illness and healing were related by the energetical state. They depended on the level of the energetical state. How can we gain more energy? This is what we need. Well, we can refer to somebody external to us, like a teacher or something that help us with its technique, like Reiki, yoga, meditation. And in this case, these people help us to gain energy from the external, from the outside, okay? But this, of course, lasts a little, because if we don't work on ourselves, maybe in that moment, that teacher, that yoga teacher, yoga master, Reiki master, helps us getting rid of a heavy thought we have in our mind. And then for a while we are happy and lighter and feel better, but then we haven't gone to the root, which means I haven't gone to the place where I formed that thought. And so I will regenerate that thought, and I will lower the energy in my body again. So the best thing I can do is to self-radiate myself, to make an increase of energy, of my energy, from the inside of myself. And you know, that occurs when I get back in contact with the quantum basic field. When I feel the entanglement, it's an ecstasy moment that we all felt in our life, maybe for a very short second, in which we have let the self-radiate, exactly, we have let the heart speak, and we have felt within ourselves the beauty of being related to everything. We have really felt the deep connection, deep loving, caring, warm connection with anything. and that anything, any single part is a part of a wholeness. This is the situation, the emotional situation that we perceive and we experiment when we get back into the deep connection with the quantum basic field. And in those moments we experiment what we call mercy. To have mercy means to feel in your heart love for anything that exists, and even for what apparently wouldn't deserve it. That is the moment when we have felt the unconditional love. And that is the self-radiation we do that help us do the quantum leap that leads us to the healing process or the solving process. Isn't that fascinating? I hope I could transmit this concept clearly to all of you. And now I want to do something with you. Sorry? Samra says, I've been on this journey on self-healing for some time, and I feel healed to a great extent. How do I help my daughter who's been struggling for a long time? Is there a way I can help her? Wow, this is quite a question. You know, we can only help ourselves. Thank you, Samra. We can only help ourselves. We always wish to help somebody else, but we cannot really do anything for the other's life unless one very important thing: leave them our example. So if our children, our kids see what we do, we are an example to them, and they will try to imitate us. So if they say, if they can see, if they can witness, if your daughter can witness what you have done, that is surely an important teaching to her. This is the best thing you can do, to show her how you deal to be happy, to reach the best possible life you can. This is the best teaching you can give to her and leave to her. Of course, we can be close to the suffering people, we can be helpful, but we don't have to take the responsibility of their life onto our shoulders, because that is not correct. We can be, you're welcome, Sora. We can be very comprehensive and we can be very close to them, but at the same time, we do not have to fall into the same emotional situation or psychological situation they are, because otherwise there are two of us in the same hole having the same problem. We have to wait for someone else to come and help us getting out and rid of that situation. So to help ourselves is the best thing we can do. Oh yeah, Veronica, also we cannot help who doesn't want to be helped. Of course, people, as I said before, maybe people don't want to get rid of their problems and they want to keep them because they're functional to something. For example, old people sometimes play victims, okay? Wow, an old mama saying to her daughter, oh my God, you're going to be away for this weekend too, and I'm going to be so sad, I'm going to be alone. And then, you know, what is she doing? Well, she's pushing into the guilty complex of her daughter. So she's manipulating, actually. And maybe she doesn't get some success, because then the daughter may say, okay, I won't go anywhere and stay with you. So the old mama will keeping on going with this attitude because it is functional to her needs. She pursued her goal. So what happened? Let's see, let me see a question. We can be just an example for them, and they will heal themselves when it's the right time for it. Perfect. Thank you, Veronica. Perfect like this. Yes. So we can only, where do we stop that process? Referring to the example I was saying. When The daughter, instead of saying to the mother, yes, I will keep you company for the weekend, will say, yes, I am going to the seaside. And you'll be fine. Then the structure, the scheme doesn't work anymore. The behavior is not working anymore. Her mother will have to change it. She maybe will try another one, still manipulating attitude, but she has to change something. That's the way it works. High and less energy is the nucleus of several physical and mental health disorders. It's the nucleus of everything, actually, Mariella, of everything, okay? Okay, so what is very beautiful is that now we speak about, according to all I have told you so far, we are talking about a new concept, panpsychism. Panpsychism, pan derives from Greek and means to see everything in everything, which means there is a consciousness of the universe, but there is a consciousness in anything, like the sardines of the birds that change direction simultaneously, or as I explained, the chromophore cells of the leaves that actually do not work if you take them away from the leaves, even if you radiate them with light. Then there is a consciousness in anything we have. And this consciousness brings us to the concept of, recalls us to mind what shamans do. Shamans, what they do, they speak with the spirit of anything. Everything has its soul, and they speak with the soul of anything in the world, asking it to reconnect with the quantum basic information field. This is what shamanism is. Veronica says the mom has to deal with her pattern, otherwise the daughter will repeat the same dysfunctional pattern in her life. Yes, but also the daughter has to recognize she is repeating that dysfunctional pattern. Because how many times have we said, I will never do the same mistakes my mom used to do. I won't behave like she has done. And then we find out that we do it. We do it. And then we have to let that pattern transform. We have to work for that to happen. Okay? So, I wanted to teach you a little technique to be more into connection with our soul. In order to do that, we have to imagine that we are standing on a pyramid, okay? And there is a sphere all around us, a sphere of 1 meter of diameter. And that sphere is within a bigger sphere that is 5 meters of diameter, okay? I'll show you the picture so you will understand better. So imagine we are in a sphere, 1 meter diameter sphere within a 5 meter diameter sphere. We are standing on a pyramid, okay? That pyramid will spread up, the top of the pyramid will spread up, will split up, and the energy will come out of it. This pyramid is the soul of the Creator, the soul of God. And it really will give us its energy, and it will fill the sphere of 1 meter of diameter, okay? After that, we can imagine that the pyramid opens up completely and the sphere drops into it. And when that happens, the ozone, this is the technique of the ozone, starts to be delivered. The ozone has a perfect capacity of burning, detecting and burning and transforming all the cells, all the sick cells in our life. But also it detects all the blocks that do not allow us to connect with our soul. Okay, so you can use it either if you have a very heavy pathology. Don't use it for a cold or a flu. Okay, this is for something like cancer or for pathology, very important pathology. Otherwise, use it to get in a better connection with the informational quantum field. Okay, Let's do it all together. Okay, just follow my indications. Find yourself a comfortable position. Breathe deeply. Close your eyes and just follow my words. First of all, let us all recognize that we really can create our life as we wish. We are the creator of our life. Secondly, that anything we do for us, it's actually related to anybody. And then, each one of us within ourselves, just formulate your wish, what you want to obtain by this technique. If you want to use it for your body, hopefully not, as I told you that this is used for very heavy pathologies. Or let's ask to be in a perfect connection with our soul, with the quantum informational field. Then, let us imagine to be in a sphere of 1 diameter that is put on top of a big pyramid. And the whole things are within a sphere of the diameter of 5 meters. Now, the pyramid splits on top a little, and there is a beautiful light coming out of it that fills, first of all, the sphere of 1 meter that there is around us, and also cleans that sphere, takes all the negative things away from that sphere. That sphere, I haven't told you before, is the sphere of our soul. So this light, the light of the Creator, the light of the informational quantum physics, is cleaning the sphere of our soul. And then that sphere becomes lighter and lighter and lighter. There is always more and more light in that sphere. And when that sphere is full of light, it opens up completely. The pyramid, opens up completely, and the sphere with us inside falls into the pyramid. And now, as soon as the pyramid receives us into our sphere, into the sphere of our soul, the pyramid starts to let the ozone out. Ozone, because of its nature, detects and burns anything, any negative cells, but at the same time, any block into the connection between us and our soul. When we do that, we can really imagine to see all those cells, all those negative cells, or all the blocks within the wormholes, you could say, that have been captured and burned. And we also can say within ourselves, I see the negative cells or the ill cells, or I see the blocks within the wormholes, and I choose the quantity of ozone I need to detect them and burn them. And when those cells or those blocks are burnt, we do augment the concentration of ozone to transform them from positive to negative. So, if there are cells, they go back to their being healthy. If they were blocked, they become energy. And now, feel yourself in a perfect connection with your soul. All see yourself completely fine, healthy and happy. Feel the entanglement, feel the love within yourself and related to anything and everything that exists on earth. Feel the energy within the atoms that is the same one in any atom of anything existing. And then you feel this connection very strongly. And you feel happiness within yourself, happiness. And then you put a very strong light on this visualization, and you just say that this happens today, May 26, 2020 at 6:55 p.m. And if you worked on something physical, only if you worked on something physical, you say, I deliver the result to the infinite, to the universe. Then gently breathe. Take your time to come back here. Help yourself breathing deeply. And when you open up your eyes, when you get back to eye contact, do it with a big smile on your face. Okay. I hope you could follow good enough. I hope it was clear. You can use this technique anytime you want. This is going to be recorded as anything, any live that we do. And so you can go through it and repeat it anytime you want, even more than once a day. Now we have just 3 minutes in which I would be glad to receive some feedbacks about how you felt during this technique. Maybe you had some emotion, how you feel now, was it helpful, whatever. Thank you. Okay, Summer, go. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay. Thank you, Veronica, for your comment. Thank you to all of you for being here. Thank you, Alessia. I hope you noticed something in your body. You felt maybe some tickling or something similar to that in your body, which means that the technique was working, okay? If you're all fine, it's about time for me to go. My time is almost up. If you don't have anything special to let me know about any strange sensation maybe you had during the technique. Thanks a lot. I was waiting for him. Okay, thank you, Vita. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Gimme. Okay, I think everything is fine. Upper back and shoulders. Okay, then Sonia, you needed to have some relief from that part. Okay. Upper part of back and shoulders, maybe too many responsibilities. Do you feel responsibility very heavy? How do you live responsibility? You have to think about it. Okay. Okay, everybody. Then thank you very much for being with us, with me in this case. I'll be back next Tuesday with something different, but now you figured a little bit what I will be talking, although sometimes I really change completely directions. And good luck, take care of yourself, be an example for yourself, mostly. Happy life to anybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye, good evening, bye-bye.